Hi everyone, welcome to Bible Blast and Lesson 26. Today we're going to be learning about Gideon. Now after Joshua and all the elders had died, a new generation arose and they did not know the Lord. Now the Lord had previously said to all the people that they were to drive out all of the inhabitants in the land of Canaan because they worshipped false gods. And the Lord did not want the Israelites being influenced by those people so that they would worship the false gods and sin against the Lord. Because the Lord said those gods will be a snare to you. Well, he was right. The new generation that arose after Joshua and the elders died, they went after the false gods. And they were indeed a snare to them. And so the Lord allowed an enemy army to punish the Israelites. And today we're talking about the Midianites. For 7 years, the Midianites went after the Israelites. They stole their livestock, they spoiled their crops, they stole even the very bread off their tables. And so after 7 years, the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and the Lord heard their prayer. And he came to one man, the angel of the Lord came to one man and said, "Hail, mighty man of valor, the Lord is with you." And the man, whose name was Gideon, said, "Well, if the Lord is with us, why are all these terrible things happening to us? Why are the Midianites taking over the land? And where is the God that our fathers told us about?" And so the Lord said to him, "You are going to deliver the Midianites into the hands of Israel, and you're going to save Israel." And he said, "How am I going to save Israel? My family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I'm the least in my family." And the Lord said to him, "I will be with you, and you will smite the Midianites as if they were one man." And so Gideon said, "Well, if I have found grace in your sight, please allow me to go and get a gift for you so that I know that it's really you talking to me." And the Lord said, "I will wait." And so Gideon went and prepared a meal. He got a goat and unleavened bread and broth, and he brought the meal to the Lord. And the Lord said, "Put the flesh and the unleavened bread on the rock. Now take the broth and pour it over the flesh and the bread." And that's what he did. And immediately fire sprung from the rock and burned up the offering, and the Lord disappeared. And Gideon thought, "Oh, woe is me, I have seen the Lord and now I'm going to die." But the Lord spoke to him and said, "No, peace be with you, Gideon. You're not going to die." Well, the next thing was the Lord gave Gideon a job. He said, "I want you to go and destroy the altar to the false god Baal that your father has set up." Well, Gideon was afraid to go in the day because somebody might see him. And so he waited till nighttime, and he took 10 men with him, and they destroyed the altar to Baal. Well, in the morning, the men from the city came looking for Gideon, and they were going to kill him. And Gideon's father said, "Let Baal defend himself." Well, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew his shofar, and messengers were sent out. And so he assembled to himself an army of 32,000 men. And he was still nervous and thinking, what if I'm not right? What if the Lord's not really picking me? And so he wanted to just have a sign. And he said to the Lord, "Lord, I just want to know for sure that I'm not misunderstanding here. So I have a fleece here. Could it be that in the morning the fleece will be wet, but the ground all around dry?" And so the Lord did as Gideon had asked. And when Gideon came out in the morning, behold, the fleece was sopping wet, but the ground all around was dry. Well, then Gideon said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. Just this one more test. This time, could the fleece be dry, but the ground all around wet? And so the Lord answered Gideon's request. And when Gideon came out in the morning, the fleece was dry and the ground all around was wet. And so Gideon could be confident, the Lord is showing me he really is picking me. And so the Lord spoke to Gideon and said, Gideon, you have too many men. You need to tell the ones who are afraid to fight the Midianites that they can go home. Now his army was 32,000, and he was going to be fighting against an army of 135,000 Midianites. But the Lord said to him, when you win, you're going to think you did it in your own strength. And then the people still won't trust me. And so Gideon did that which the Lord had asked. And 22,000 men went home. There were only 10,000 left. But then the Lord said to Gideon, Gideon, you still have way too many men. Send them all to the brook and tell them to drink. And the ones who put their faces in the stream and slurp it up, send them home. But the ones who scoop up the water and lap it up like a dog, keep them. Well, they numbered 300. So Gideon had an army of 300 against an army of Midianites numbering 135,000. So that evening, the Lord said to Gideon, get down to the host of the Midianites, for I have delivered them into your hand. But if you're still not quite sure, go down into the camp, take your friend Phurah, and listen at the tent. And so Gideon went down into the Midianite camp, and it was at night. They were all sleeping, except for these two talking. And he heard the one man say to the other, I had a dream. There was this cake that rolled down the hill into the Midianite camp and knocked this tent down flat. And the other man said, oh no, that's no other than God sending Gideon. That's the sword of Gideon. And God's going to deliver the Midianites into his hand. And so when Gideon heard that, he thought, oh, God is going to deliver the Midianites into my hand. And he went back up and he called all the men. And he said, okay, we're going to divide into 3 companies of 100 each. And we're going to gather around the camp of the Midianites. And he said, whatever I do, you're going to copy. He said, I'm going to give you all a shofar and a flaming torch and a clay pot. And you're going to keep the flaming torch covered by the clay pot so that the Midianites won't see the flames. And so they all tiptoed into place, and Gideon took a shofar, and he said, when I blow my shofar, then you blow yours. Well, I need more practice with my shofar. Let me try that again. And so all of the men blew their shofars. And then Gideon said, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And he took his clay pot and he smashed it on the ground and he pulled out his flaming torch. And all of the men did that. Well, you could imagine how terrifying that would have been for the Midianites, hearing 300 clay pots getting smashed on the ground. I mean, you could imagine what it's like when you knock over your mother's favorite vase and it breaks. The sound is deafening in your ears because now you're thinking, oh no, my mommy heard that and now I'm in so much trouble. So 300 pots would have been completely deafening. And what happened was the Midianites woke up terrified. They grabbed their sword. They didn't know what was happening. And they just started fighting each other. And they killed each other. And the ones who didn't die fled on foot. And that is how the Lord defeated the Midianites and delivered them into the hand of Gideon. Now, I just want to show you my picture. And I'll put my, put my shofar down. And let's see if I can find it. There we go. So we have the picture of Gideon blowing his shofar. And there are the men. They've smashed their pots. And they're holding up their torches. And I'd like to show you a song that goes with that lesson. And it's called "The Victory is the Lord's." It goes like this. God told Gideon he must fight. The victory is the Lord's. He didn't have much strength or might. The victory is the Lord's. But he obeyed and the fight was won. The victory is the Lord's. God promised he'd make the enemy run. The victory is the Lord's. I want to try blowing my shofar one more time. I do need a lot more practice. Let's see if I can get a better sound out of it. You ready? I think I'll keep on practicing. Come back tomorrow and we're going to hear the account of Naomi and Ruth. Bye for now.